Welcome to another episode of 15-Minute Masterpieces. My name is Lisa Magyar, and we are here at the Creative Arts Enid art studio. And not really 100% how this is going to turn out. I've got a picture in my head, and first I'm going to, just pick up a little bit of white and a little bit of my yellow oxide, and I'm going to give myself some guidelines here. And I don't know if you can see it, but I can see it. And you give yourself guidelines in a just off-white color because that'll cover up later. It's easier to cover up a little bit of white color than to actually come in with color and try to cover that up later, especially with the 15 minutes. So I'm going to do a little vase with flowers. There we go. And I'm going to throw some background color on there. And I think I'm going to keep it kind of basic with our yellow oxide and white. And just kind of get some background color. And I'm just kind of going back over it. I don't have a lot of paint in my brush, so I just want to pull that away. I'm actually going to kind of dry brush a little bit. Go in with a little bit more of this yellow and create some interest on this side, maybe a little shadowy feel. And every now and then step back, see how it looks, rinse out the brush. And I'll get that one cleaned out better later. So while I'm letting the background kind of dry a little bit, I'm going to paint my vase. And I don't know what color to paint my vase. I'm just using some leftover paint that I had in my paint palette. I think I might go with this yellowy orange color. And just kind of giving it a little dip when you paint will make it look curved. I got some dry paint in there. And then nice and slow against the side, it helps keep a nice bead of wet paint. Usually vases aren't curved at the bottom, or else they wouldn't sit flat, would they? So I'm just kind of pushing the paint, and you can see how I'm moving that line of paint over. And I'm just going to let that kind of add some interest. And a lot of times you can do that with the strokes. You can just let the strokes do the work for you. I'm going to clean that up just a little bit. So it's kind of got a little darker edge on one side. I'm going to come back because we've got our shadow on this side, so I need my darker side on this side. And since it's still wet, we can just move that line, switch it up here. Actually, I don't mind that. Okay, now I'm just visualizing how I'm going to have my flowers. If you've watched my videos before, you know I'm very kind of just abstract with what I do. So I'm going to go with my filbert, and it's curved on the end, but still a flat brush. So I'll be able to get petals and things like that. So I'm going to start. Let's start maybe with some red. And I'm just kind of making them up as I go. It's not any specific kind of flower. I'm just going to kind of play with the colors. And that red is very pink. I'm going to come in with some pink. I got a lot of pinks on my palette, maybe a little bit of white. Okay. Here, maybe we've got one that's kind of fallen down a little bit. They could be roses, they could be poppies. We are getting some mix of the underneath the color. That's why this red is not really popping red. It's kind of mixing and becoming a pink, but that's okay. I'm going to go with some hot pink here. Maybe we just kind of get an abstract-y daisy. Now, I really like to do poppies and even like roses. I like to just kind of make up round flowers. Hate doing daisies. Anything that has petals that stick out and radiate. One thing that people find is as they radiate, they end up stacking them on top of each other. So what I always do is imagine a dot in the middle, and then I'm pulling from that dot. And that seems to help me get a nice radiating flower. Like I said, it's not really a true flower, it's just made up in my head flower. I'll let those kind of dry. And since they're made up, they can be any kind of color, right? So I feel like we need some blue in here. This is just kind of some of those fun little like portal-y flowers. Might have gone too big. Looking to get arty in Enid, Oklahoma? Join us at Creative Arts Enid, 222 East Maple. Okay, so while that's kind of setting up, I'm gonna go into my green. And I'm just using an angle brush. And bring those, that one just totally got knocked. Bloop, and it fell down. And I like using the angle brush because you can do a straight line or you can turn it up and get it thicker. I'm just going to be kind of loose. See if I can figure out how to make that one. Okay, so we kind of just did a fun, loose interpretation, I guess, of flowers in a vase. I'm gonna take some time here and kind of polka dot up my vase. Again. See if we can kind of define that a little bit with the red. So I'm thinking maybe 15 minutes. It's not quite enough time to do flowers in a vase. Come in with my silver. And really it was more about, you know, the colors that were chosen, kind of having fun with the colors and letting that kind of come to life as we go. Might even add some, oops, and now we're dripping. So maybe we'll make that part of it. So that happens sometimes when we're rushing. We'll just let those drip. And maybe we can get some red. I'm just adding some water and really kind of watering down. And then as I go, I'll rotate that. See if we can't get that red to drip a little bit too. Because that'll look weird that just the blue ones are dripping. I like drips. I think those are kind of fun to add. So when we're about done, and I think to finish it up, I was going to do some black and gray stripes down here at the bottom. Probably let it dry some more and add some more brighter colors. Maybe come back in with some of this orange and add it to this flower. And that one, I just can't stop. Okay, I need to stop though. So thank you for joining me on another episode of 15-Minute Masterpiece, and come back next time.